friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a story time. So if you'd like to hear about how the Holy Spirit showed up at a fancy gala just for me, then stay tuned. So this story happened when John and I first became believers. So I'd gone through extensive deliverance, self-deliverance, inner healing. God was still doing a mighty work in me. In fact, that work took over 2.5 years, and I'm still working with the Holy Spirit today. During this time, I would like to say maybe it was like about a year or so after I had first came to the Lord. I was working on my book. John let me quit my job, and I was trying to figure out my identity. I was still raw, vulnerable, extremely insecure. We got invited to this fancy gala. I had never been to a black tie event up until this point. When we got our invitation, I said to John, this seems to be pretty fancy, and I don't want to show up and not be dressed like everybody else. I don't want to be embarrassed. John's not really into dressing up. His idea of dressing up is wearing like his favorite Lululemons, right? Give him an excuse to not dress up and he's all about it. He thinks I'm being extra, which quite honestly, I have a tendency to be a little extra, but I just knew in my gut, no, this looks like a formal event. So I told him, I really don't feel comfortable going unless you make sure about the attire. So he went to his client who invited us to this gala, and he said, hey, Lexi, my wife is just kind of concerned. What kind of attire do you require for this? She said, just wear something cute. It's not a big deal. He came home and just repeated that to me. I just felt in my gut, no, this doesn't feel right. I felt like the Holy Spirit just said, Google gala events and then look up this actual event. I looked it up online. The people in the pictures were all wearing very formal ball gown type of situations. I just went back to John and I said, okay, I know what your client said, but I don't care. I am not going to be publicly humiliated. So if you don't want to buy a dress, that's not a big deal, but I'm not going to go. And if you want to go to this, then you're going to have to figure it out, because I am not dressing schlubby to this thing and being embarrassed, and you're not either. So I'm not going to let you leave the house unless you wear a decent suit. It's just not going to happen. So he finally complied, kicking and screaming, did not want to wear a suit, hates suits. I bought this beautiful gown, got it on sale, so it had to be from the Lord, okay? We both were dressed up to the nines, and we go to this event. The woman who invited us rented a room at the hotel that this event was happening at. She called us and asked us to join her while her and her husband and her friends were getting ready. So we go up to their hotel room, and she answers the door. I have not met this woman up until this point. As soon as she answers the door, the look on her face was like, oh my gosh, her face just dropped. She didn't expect me to be dressed like her. I saw that on her face. She invites us in, but I can see the Holy Spirit actually warned me it's a sabotage. And I felt that instantly when I saw her face. I knew she wanted to shame me. She wanted to put me in my place and embarrass me publicly, or create a situation with me and my husband where I'd feel really uncomfortable. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, okay, this person's probably not a future friend. Let's just move forward. We sit down at our table and we're kind of chit-chatting with these strangers, people that we have nothing in common with. The lady that was sitting next to me was asking me a lot of questions, and I was asking her questions back. She kept asking questions like, what do I do? And I told her, oh, I'm a writer. And then she's like, well, how many books have you sold? Well, I haven't really sold anything. Well, have you been captured by a publisher? Well, no, I'm self-published. It was like she was trying to corner me with the same spirit of shaming me, putting me in my place. Do you know what I mean? I could feel that. And I was so raw and vulnerable, already humiliated by my story. I'm going to this event where people are extremely prominent business people. My life as a stripper doesn't really look good. My testimony of having demons isn't really impressive, I just want to get out of here. I don't like this. But I'm sticking it out. As we're talking, I realize I've been talking to this woman for quite some time and I don't know her name. So I say, I'm so sorry. My name is Julia. I have not even asked your name. We've gotten so far along in the night. What's your name? She tells me her name is Marta, which is interesting because I love Jewish culture and I was really interested in Jewish names. When I became a writer, I was looking up a name for myself. And so I was like, wow, I've been doing research on Jewish names. You must be Jewish. And she's like, yes. And I go, well, my middle name is Shalom. I go, did you know that Marta means bitter waters? I didn't even realize it at the time because it just came out of me. But by the look on her face, I realized, oh, I just insulted her. Did not mean to do that. It was totally ignorant of me. Her body language just shut down and she was just like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? I didn't mean to do that. So when I went home and I kind of reflected over the night, I know that was the Holy Spirit in me silencing that demon that wanted to shame me. Because from that point on in the night, she was actually very nice to me. She cleaned it up and was treating me like a civil human being from that point on. It's very unfortunate that people play these kind of games and do these kind of things, but we're not talking about people that have the Spirit of God inside of them. The Holy Spirit will usually convict you if you're doing something kind of mean and shady. He won't give you peace about that. When you're dealing with people in the world who are sabotaging, envious, in the flesh, they're going to be doing these types of things. I was a new believer. I was kind of used to that kind of thing at my work. Since I had stepped out of work and I hadn't been in too many circumstances with other people because I was in a cocoon of healing, separating myself and just getting alone with God and really just hearing the voice of God. I had prayed before this event and I said, Holy Spirit, I want you to come with me. I'm nervous. I don't know these people. I'm so raw. I'm embarrassed what kind of conversations are going to come up in small talk. I don't want to be humiliated. When I reflected and went back home, I just realized the Lord had me. He was covering me and He was protecting me. Even the Holy Spirit inside of me was commanding those demons, hey, don't go there. Let's not do that. My own personality type is not the kind of person who would put somebody down or, you know what I mean? Put somebody in their place like that. I might do it in a joking way, but I literally was being ignorant in this moment. It wasn't even coming out as a joke. It just spilled out of my mouth uncontrollably. That's just a little funny story of how the Holy Spirit had my back and took care of me when I was in a really vulnerable place. I know God enjoys showing up and showing off for His children, saying, I've got you. Even if you can't defend yourself, I will defend you. And that's what He did. I hope that entertained you, and I hope that you will see the little places and spaces where the Holy Spirit's been showing up, doing things for you that you might not have realized was actually Him. I didn't realize that was Him until I went back home and I reflected over the night and I was praying about it the next day, and He showed me, I showed up for you. I thought that was really special and important because I've never been the kind of person who could show up for myself. And yet the Holy Spirit used the Spirit of God in me to actually show up for myself and say, no, that's taking it too far. God is so creative, you guys. We got to see Him for the loving, caring Father that He really is. He actually wants to show up in our everyday circumstances. He doesn't just want to show up at church. He wants to show up at a gala. He wants to get you that dress on sale. He wants to take care of your emotional needs, your physical needs, and your spiritual needs as well. We just have to let Him in, and we just have to pay attention to when He's saying, hey, I'm doing this for you. You can't do it in your own flesh, but by my Spirit, it's going to happen. If you want to hear any more story times, or if you're interested in prophetic encouragement, hit that subscribe button. I would really like to get to 10,000. It would just feel like a real channel at that point, and I need your help to do that. So I'm asking you, please share this video, like, comment, subscribe, do all that supportive stuff. I see every single one of you, and I appreciate every single one of you. Take care, my friends, and I will talk to you later. Bye. This experience made me think of some Bible verses, and I wanted to throw these in here. A bruised reed He will not break, and a smoldering wick He will not snuff out. Isaiah 42:3. The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. Deuteronomy 31:8. But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. God chose the lowly things of this world and the despised things and the things that are not to nullify the things that are, so that no one may boast before Him. 1 Corinthians 1:27-31.